Okay, we're going to share a couple stories of commute from a couple of people, and we'll finish this chapter out. First, Aaron's story, which is on page 30. When Aaron, a writer, pastor, and liturgist, found himself in a particularly intense season of work, he became frustrated by his inability to re-enter family life at the end of his workday. As the emotions, complexities, and stress from work began to spill over into his engagement with his wife and sons, he knew he had to find a remedy for this. He had a 15-minute commute to and from work, so he began considering how he might create something he could listen to each day that could help focus his mind and attention in a way that honored God, his work, and his family. He knew that the moment of crossing the threshold into his work at the beginning of the day and returning to his family at its end was a particularly important time, and he wanted to be prepared for this transition each day. Aaron gathered his musician friends, his writer friends, and his artist friends to collaborate on creating an audio recording for his travel time. Collaboratively, these friends came up with prayers, music, songs, and moments of silence, which they recorded for Aaron. This became the beginning of the project called A New Liturgy, where recordings of music, prayer, and scripture of various lengths are combined to create a sonic sanctuary for different contexts. We're gonna have to look up that album, see if you can find it. It is a beautiful example of redeeming a commute and inviting God's Spirit to usher you into the workday. In Aaron's case, it also ended his workday, and he listened to the audio on his way home after work. The central theme of Aaron's recording was the Lord's Prayer. As he listened to it on the way to work and on the way home, it began to change his thinking and his emotional state. In the morning, instead of focusing on the intensity of the relationships he would be encountering at work that day, he began focusing on the ways God was Lord in the midst of that intensity. Rather than being overwhelmed by what lay ahead, he found himself resting in the Lord, who would lead and guide his days and steps. And instead of coming home filled with emotional stress and strain from the day, he found he could enter into family life renewed by God's goodness of his provision. Using his commute time to engage with God enabled Aaron to surrender to the outcomes of his work to God, as well as express gratitude after finishing the day's work. We're going to go to Elaine's story in the next video.